All right, YouTube. We're out here working on our lawnmower again. You can see it right there. That's the seat part and that's the hood. I started the other day, yesterday I believe, cleaning out the garage. I mentioned in a video earlier that I'm going to start airbrushing, pinstriping, gold leafing and all that stuff. And I cleaned the garage out to get me a little spot, a little nook there in the corner where I could do all that stuff. And I was bringing stuff out here to this shed and realized this is the perfect spot to do it. I've got plenty of room to park the lawnmower in the garage, and I thought, well, heck, I'll just clean this place up. And it's got power, got a window, got my heat sitting right there, and a fan when it gets hot. But I just got through sanding this thing, and we're fixing to put some sealer on it. So if you'll take a seat right there, then we'll get to mixing. I know this table is shaky. I'm gonna try not to bump it too much. I'm using Transtar black sealer. You can buy it in black, white, gray, I believe, and of course you can tint it. Also, you can take your base coat and tint it, you know, to get a little closer to your color of your base coat, so it's easier to, you don't have to use as much base coat to cover this sealer if you do that. But this stuff mixes 4-part sealer, 1 part hardener, and 1 part reducer. We don't need a whole lot, so let me go ahead and get this thing turned around. And got 5 to 1, 4 to 1. All right there, that'll work. Let's see. That ought to be plenty. That ought to be plenty. Let that drip a minute. I need to get me a garbage can out here. I've got a small one there. Right now it's full of all kinds of crap. But we'll worry about that later. Go ahead and cover this up. And park this sucker right here. Park that right there. All right, let's get some activator. Where we at? We're almost 2, so let's go. Just like so. And a little bit of reducer. That's the end of that one. Stir this up. I like to go ahead and get my paint, sealer or primer, whatever it is that I'm fixing to spray. I like to go ahead and get it ready and in the gun. That way, after I tack off whatever it is I'm painting, I can turn right around and grab the gun and go to spraying. That way there's not as much time for something else to land on my paint job. Alright, let's get this over here. Try not to make you sick at your stomach. Moving you around all over the place. Now usually what I like to do is, if a gun's been setting for a while, I like to spray a little bit of thinner through it, just to make sure it's going to act right. You don't want to find out it's screwed up after you've already got paint in it. Now I got an air line ran from my garage into my shop back here, because I don't have a permanent source of air yet. So I will remedy that, but right now working the, I don't know if you can see it, working the fan wide, well it ran out, working the fan open and closed to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. Alright, let's get this garbage in here. After we pour this in the gun, then we will let that sit there for a minute. We'll tack. Now, I don't have any tack cloths, so I'm gonna have to just use some urethane reducer. You don't want to soak it down. Just enough to clean off any fingerprints and dust and all that stuff. Because this stuff will take this red paint off, and that's not what we want to do. You can see it's taking the red paint off, which is fine. I'm not concerned at all with that. We just don't want to leave it on there, you know, because if you leave it on there too long, it'll actually make the paint start frying up, and then you do have a problem. So all we really want to do is wipe enough to get any oily residues or fingerprints, stuff like that, and then also trap that dust. And make sure we get all that off. Now if I was painting a car, I wouldn't do this. I would just stop what I was doing, and I would go get some tack cloths. But this is a lawnmower, and it'll be all right. You can see these little spots back here. I used to have a what do you call it? A grass catcher on the back of this thing, and a friend of mine that I work with gave it to me, and it wasn't made for this lawnmower, but I done some backyard engineering and had to drill some holes to make it work, but I think I had already mentioned that when I very first started this lawnmower. But getting rid of the clippings was aggravating, and I think I did talk about this. Don't listen to me, I ramble. I'm a rambletron. Just sit back and enjoy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, I know a lot of y'all are looking at this going, gosh, what about there where your feet go? Well, not really sweating it. I have a big foot pad that goes on both of those, and it'll be all right. All right. Now, I like to take my rag, go ahead and clean my cup out, because these cups are reusable. So you get all that sealer and stuff out of them, and you can just keep reusing them. They're not that expensive. I think they're 15 cents a piece, I believe, is what they charge for them. But it would suck to need one and not have it just because you didn't take a few seconds to clean it out. All right, let's throw the lid back on this. I'll set you up where you can see what's going on. We'll put a mask on, and we'll lay our first coat on. Let me set you up here where you can get some sort of idea as to what is going on. That'll work right there. I'm gonna try not to aim my gun at my phone. I got a new phone, and I'd just soon not spray it with sealer. All right. All right. You won't be able to understand me from now on, so I'm not going to talk. That's better. see if I can do this without getting this air hose everywhere. Oh yeah. We'll pause you right there, let this set up, and take a look at it, and we'll see if we need another coat. Alright, catch you in a minute. Alright guys, I think one coat of sealer is going to do it. I've got some TranStar Tuxedo Black. It's a Ford color. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll recognize that color. It's the same color that's on my 56 Chevrolet. The only reason I'm using it is because I have it. It's readily available. I would rather do just black. But the thing is, with sealer, after you spray it, you've got about 8 hours to put another coat of whatever on top of it. If you wait longer than 8 hours, typically you got to rough it up with some Scotch-Brite before you can put your next coat on. And so this is my last day off work, and the reason I'm doing this is it's going to give me something to tinker with as I'm learning how to pinstripe and airbrush, and might do some gold leaf. It's just something to play around with. But I'm not going to be able to get to doing all that stuff. So I have to cover this sealer with the next coat. It'll be more than 8 hours before I can get back to it. And then the thing is, after I put my base coat on it, then you've got about 24 hours to put your next coat. You know, if you're using more than one color base coat or your top coat. And after that, you've got to Scotch-Brite it and get it ready for your next coat. And the thing is, if you're spraying a candy or a pearl or a metallic metal flake, you can't sand on that. It's not a solid color. If it was a solid red or a solid black or any other solid color, then you can Scotch-Brite that base coat and then put your clear coat on top of it. But when you have pearls, metallics, flakes, or candies, you can't Scotch-Brite it because it'll mess up the effect of the clear coat of the base coat, and you'll end up with stripes, you'll end up with matting, you'll end up with cloudiness, and it distorts the flake or the pearl or the metallic. It distorts it, and if you clear over the top of that, you won't be happy with the result at all. It'll look horrible. So the whole point to that Rambletron was I've got to go ahead and do my clear, my base coat, my sealer, my base coat, and I've got to put at least an inner coat layer of clear on top of it to sort of lock that in so that I'm no longer under a time crunch. And with that interlock clear, it's going to lock everything down, and time won't be an issue after that. So here we go. We're going to mix the base coat. Base coat mixes 1 to 1. Let's get our cup turned right. And we're just going to use it all. Now with pearls, candies, flakes, metallics, make sure that you mix this stuff up good, because all that stuff floats to the bottom. And you want to make sure you get all that effect in your paint. I mean, that's what you pay for, right? So mix it up real good while it's in the can. And you'll be a lot happier. Let's see, we're at 3. Let's go to 3. Just like so. Up there. Alright, let's turn this out. I got my heater on to try to hurry that sealer up. I don't want to be out here all day. So I'm going to mix this crap up and go to shooting. If you haven't already, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Help me build this channel. I'm just now getting started. I don't know, I might have 12 videos out there. I'm not real consistent right now, which is one problem I have to remedy. I've said it before in other videos, my work schedule is, especially this time of year, has been pretty crazy. So I wuss out and I don't shoot a video, because I would rather shoot quality videos than with some good content in them, rather than just shoot a video just so I got something to upload. But I know nothing about videoing. I know nothing about editing. So my videos obviously don't look professional, mainly because I don't really care whether they look professional or not. I'm basically doing this for just something to do. Y'all heard me say it before, I hate sitting on the couch. Hate it with a passion. Alright, clean our cup up. I've had this cup, guys. Oh gosh, believe it or not, I've had this cup since probably 2000, let's see, probably 2002. I don't know, no particular reason other than I just continue to clean it and it continues to do what it's supposed to do. Always make sure that your hole in the center is your breather hole is clear. If not, you'll get paint out for just a minute and then it will stop and you'll think something is wrong with your gun. When you come to find out, the only problem is it can't breathe. Alright guys, I'm going to shut up now. Go to spraying some base coat clear coat. Or base coat right now, clear coat will come later. Alright, can you see?
You'll see my hand. Trying not to make you sick. Alright, let's get at it. I'll switch hands. Alright guys, if you'll notice, I stayed away from that. You know, I backed the gun up a good distance away. When you're spraying metallics, pearls, not really for sure what is going on. Hold on, I'm going to disappear just for a second. Camera's trying to focus on everything else. When you're spraying pearls, metallics, candy flakes, and stuff like that, you don't want to lay that stuff on thick. If you do, the metallic or whatever effect you're spraying is going to want to float around and it'll migrate together. And you'll end up with cloudiness, streaks, stuff like that. So you want to turn your air up just a little bit. I usually run 28 to 34 pounds. That'll break that mist up real good, so it doesn't go on super wet. You don't want that stuff floating around and migrating around. You want it to hit and stick, and you trust your equipment to spray that fine mist and keep everything good and separated. So just take that little trick and stick it in your back pocket next time you spray any type of effect paint. Just keep that tucked away and remember it. Don't load that sucker up because you won't be happy. All right, this thing is loose. Tighten it up a little bit. All right, give this just a few minutes. It's super hot in here. I've got this heater that's off now while I'm spraying, but it is really hot inside this room, so it's not going to take a whole lot of time for that stuff to pack up. So we'll be able to get right on our second coat. Matter of fact, we're going to get right on it right now. Now, guys, I'm not using nowhere near full trigger. I'm just pulling it as I need it. It takes practice, but you get used to it. Alright, that's coat number 2. It's aggravating because the air hose that I'm having to use, earlier in the video I mentioned having to run a temporary air line out here. The air hose that man, I bet I'm making y'all sick. The air hose I'm having to use is not what you would call a painter's air hose. It's not very flexible, and when it gets bent, it likes to keep its shape. It's an old orange junk. I bet that hose is 20 years old. Probably older than that. We'll give this just a minute, tack up, and then we'll put our third coat on it, and take a last minute look. Sorry, I got hiccups again. If you know anything about me, you know I keep them. Take a last minute look at it before we do any clear. Now, when we go to clear now, we're not going we're not looking for a deep shine. We're just wanting to lock this base coat in so that I don't have to go back and do any sanding or anything later on. So that's all we're looking to do. Alright, y'all hang tight, we'll be back. Alright, guys, I just went through and wiped it off. When you're spraying a really heavy metallic, a lot of times you know, you're having to back off away from it, and it leaves the finish real rough. And if you don't take care of that, then it will show through your clear coat. So we went ahead and wiped everything off. Now this coat's going to be a little bit heavier. Alright, let's get at it. Alright guys, if you'll notice on that very last bit of that last coat, you'll notice I cross hatched. I done my first one vertical